everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen and I'm going to show you how I put together this cake top forward frilly pink Gengar cake. And if you're thinking Pokemon and Gengar and frilly don't go together, well, you're wrong. So there. Yeah, you can do anything you want with cake. And I'm going to show you how I did this. All right, I'm starting with a cake. It's an 8-inch cake. It is 2 layers thick. It's been in the refrigerator. It's been crumb coated. I used American buttercream, so it's nice and stiff. And I cut the bottom part off, and I'm going to cover now the bottom part that I exposed with a little bit more icing. This is nice soft icing. So when I stand it onto my cake plate, it's going to stick, and the nice chilliness of the cake is going to make it just hold right on nice and tight. I'm going to cover now the back of the cake with some more of that pink icing, and if you have seen any of my videos before, you will know that icing cakes nice and smooth is not necessarily my strong suit. I am much more of a fondant and gum paste kind of person, but I do my best. And that's all I ask of anybody else who decides to try. Just do your best. And hopefully you'll still be able to get something from this. So yes, I have my cake. I have it standing. It's nice in the light pink color. I put it back in the fridge for this part, and now I'm going to make my Gengar, and my Gengar is made of gum paste. I don't know if I'd recommend fondant for this. You probably could if you really wanted to, because it's thin, it's just going on the side of the cake, but he's got a lot of little spikes for his hair and his little toes and his little paws, so I don't know if fondant would be too soft that it might lose some of its shape. But, you know, you do you. So, yeah, whatever you're comfortable with. Now, I had just found a picture, printed it, cut it out, as you saw, and then traced it onto my gum paste. I'm using my veining tool there to go over and press down any of the areas where his limbs and everything are a little bit more behind the rest of his body. So his one leg that's behind his body, his tail, his 2 arms, I'm going to press down a line along the edge, and then I'm going to call it his hair. I don't know if it's ears and hair, but the ears and hair I'm going to press down as well. And this way it separates it. It kind of makes it look like it's more behind the body. His one leg is coming forward because he's running at you, so I cut it out of my template. Going to trace it out of another thin piece there and just lay it on top of where the leg is supposed to sit. I am connecting everything with a little bit of water on a paintbrush. I'm not showing that part because it's super boring to watch me do it. But yeah, you just dip a paintbrush in a little bit of water and brush it on the back and it'll stick right on. I did the same thing with his little foot. I traced it and put it on top of the leg, so now it's really coming out at you. I'm using my X-Acto knife to outline his eyes and his mouth. I'm going to press down into his body in order to make his eyes and mouth recessed, so that way when I fill it in with white and red, it's not going to be popping out of him, it'll be more sitting in him, and it'll just look a little nicer that way. So again, I traced it out. It's a ball veining tool. It's just like a flower veining kit that I got. And if you are interested in any tools or anything you see me use, if you check the link in the description, it will have, you know, pretty much anything you could use. And anyway, yes, so I recessed the eyes, I outlined the mouth. Just going over it with my tool again to make it hollow, or not hollow, but just depressed, so you can see how there's holes in it now, or depressions. Using a little bit of red to fill in the eyes. I just shaped it with my hands a little bit to make it kind of like a half circle, semicircle, I guess it would be. And again, a little bit of water in each of those wells that I made to make the red stick. And make sure you don't put too much that it pops out. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of what we're trying to do here. As far as his mouth, I just have some white gum paste. Did the same thing, roll it really thin. I just trimmed away until it fit inside his mouth. It would have been a world easier probably, but I get lazy sometimes if I just cut out the teeth and used it as a template like I did with the foot, but I get lazy. So yeah, there we go. I'm taking some black gum paste and I'm rolling it between my hands to make it as thin as I can. And I'm going to outline his mouth and his eyes a little bit. You're going to see I'm going to put the line above his eyes. I don't go all the way around his eyes though. And I'm going to give him a pupil in each eye. And his pupils are like little lines, like kind of like cat pupils. Now I'm going to go back and give him his teeth, just the separation of his teeth there. And by doing this, by outlining it in black, it just makes it stand out a little nicer, makes it look a little more, I guess, like a cartoon or like the illustration as you'd imagine seeing it. And now he's super boring looking, so I'm taking some purple food coloring and I added a little bit of water to it. Some people like to paint with alcohol if they have vodka or something. I just use water. And I'm going over again the dark spots. I'm just giving him some shading. So I'm going over anything that's coming at me, like his little bottom foot coming at me is going to be dark on the bottom. I'm shading under his tail and his legs, under his arms where they go near his body, and along the underside of his arms as if the sun was shining down on top of him. I'm going over his ears and his hair a little bit. And it's hard to see here, but what I did was I went around his eyes, like under his eyes, between his eyes and his mouth, and then under his mouth as well. Now I stuck it to the side to dry. In the meantime, I'm going to frill up this cake like it was my job, which it was. So I have just a bunch of different tips. I have open star tips, I have closed star tips, French tips, whatever tippity tips I could find that was interesting looking. And I'm just piping a mess onto this cake. This cake is going to be busy by the time it's done. I had a little mistake there, and also this is kind of where I went wrong as well. I probably should have piped the border on this, at least the front side, before I stood the cake up because it was just really hard to do. But I did it. I just outlined the whole darn thing in that pink frilly stuff. I'm using a French tip to make little loop-de-loos along the edge. By the time I'm done with it, it kind of reminded me of like a curtain at a theater or something like that. And I did stuff on the back too. Since it is standing, I just figured I may as well, at least have the back interesting looking. You can see I put some little stars on top, little dollops. I've got some purple icing here that I'm making some just twisted stars in it. And yeah, just whatever. I'm going all over the place with it. Got my stars on the top, stars on the side. It's all purple and white and pink because those are the colors and I just wanted it to look busy. And I think I nailed it. It's a very busy, fluffy, frilly looking cake. And yeah, I felt like I needed more purple, so I'm just retracing everything on the front with the purple. And again, you don't have to do this. It's just what I did. It's very, very frilly, very pink, very girly, I guess you could say. I'm sticking my Gengar on. I just put a little bit of water on the back of him. And not too much. If you put too much, you're going to put him on like this and he'll start to slide down. So make sure you don't put too much. But again, the crusting buttercream is really nice for that because it takes the water and kind of holds it. I'm adding some pearls on here. I've got purple, pink, and white pearls. Just kind of sticking them wherever the heck I feel like it. And I can see how rough that front icing is. It's like, oof, yeah. Did I mention I'm not that good at smoothing icing? But either way, it's frilly, it's Gengar, it's fun. You can't say it's not fun. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe because it helps me out as well. I've got a lot of other videos out there, so be sure to take a look, as well as a lot of other Pokemon. And as always, thanks for watching Caketastic Cakes.